Hello and welcome to My Heart on Pages. I'm your host, Dr. Lakita Parks, author, publisher, and founder of Pay Pro V Publishing, where we take stories from a thought to realization. This podcast is a sacred space for storytellers, overcomers, and visionaries who have chosen to turn pain into purpose and purpose into legacy. Here, we have real conversations about faith, resilience, healing, and the power of putting your heart on paper. Because your story is not random, it is intentional, and it deserves to be told. Welcome to My Heart on Pages.
Well, hello and welcome to another episode of My Heart on Pages. I am your host, Dr. Lakita Parks. I am the CEO and founder of Pay Pro V Publishing, and Pay Pro V is pain, progress, victory, because I believe without pain, there is no progress, and without progress, there can be no victory. And boy, do I have a treat for you today. I am super excited for my guest. He goes by the name of Tierz and is a recording artist, actor, and self-proclaimed author based in London, and lives with his family of three, his other half, Stacy, and two beautiful boys named Kaylin, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
Kaylin, yeah.
Arthur. Okay.
That's
His
correct.
music has taken him to perform alongside some of the biggest names in the industry and allowed him to express himself lyrically, gaining him the recognition of top record labels and industry professionals alike. After being told by his NAM at an early age to write down his feelings, this craft grew into more than music when he wrote what started as a diary into a self-published book entitled Tears Behind the Smile, one that has gained the interest of media and has been published in newspapers. This book has also taken notice of publishing companies offering opportunities of a book publishing deal, but was self-published. Congratulations. The book itself is also in the early stages of being created into a film, with the hope of reaching those that find love, help, and support in the knowing that they are not alone. Welcome.
Thank you so much
Now,
for
do you
having
want me
me.
to call you Tierz or do you want me to call you Dan?
Whatever suits you. A lot of people call me Dan, but obviously I'm known as Tierz. I won't give you what else other people might have called me, because obviously, but yeah, you can call me Dan, of course. Yeah, that's fine.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Dan. It is such a pleasure. I am so very honored to have you here. And let me tell you why it's such a pleasure, because your book is talking about something that a lot of people don't talk about, and especially men. Oftentimes men don't talk about how they feel. They suppress it instead of talking about it. And so you talk about a lot of that in your book. And so let's talk about your book. First of all, let me ask you a question. I typically ask everybody this question. Did you always know that you wanted to be a writer, or is it something that just happened?
So it kind of just happened. I mean, with regards to the music, that kind of snowballed from a small idea of listening to, the great musicians of the world, and then got into London after an open mic, and then it just snowballed, and I continued writing. With regards to the book, that was just never on the cards. It started very much as a sort of diary of how I was feeling, with a view to, write it down, and hopefully it can express and shed some light on what's going on in my brain, sort of thing. And then yeah, it was kind of a weird situation of, well, you've got this far, why not just put it out there, sort of thing. So that's what I done. And then all of a sudden, you got publishing deal offers and all this sort of good stuff going on. And then obviously self-published. So, but no, I mean, with regards to your question, in the first instance, no, I was never a writer. I still don't class myself as a writer. Just a person that's written a book. And
well, you are. Well, guess what? You're not just a writer. You're an author now. So
well, thank you.
You are a published author, and congratulations on that. And coming from a publisher, it is not an easy feat to self-publish, but to get to that point, because there are 8+ billion people on the planet, and out of those 8 billion people, only 1% of that 8 billion people will take the time to write their story.
Yeah,
And
I've read that
just
somewhere.
the percentage just a 0.5% of that 1% of that 8 billion will complete the thought and publish that story. So you are among a very special society of people who have taken the time to publish their book. And so congratulations on that. So
Thanks.
let's talk about Tears Behind the Smile.
Yeah.
I had a chance to download the book. I purchased my copy.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I haven't finished. You're welcome. My pleasure. I haven't finished reading the whole book, but and I've had a chance to skim through, and I'm like, wow. Wow. You know, we were talking before we came live, we were talking backstage, and I was sharing with you when I first was recommended to therapy, and I was not happy. I knew something was going on with me. But I didn't think that I needed that type of help. And my doctor was like, I think you need to see somebody. And I was like, no, I'm just not being heard. I just need somebody to listen to me. I need somebody to hear me. And I was upset with her. And even I followed instructions, and I called the doctor, and the first thing I said was, I'm not crazy. And he said, no, you're not. So I'm like, well, why is she sending me to a psychiatrist? Like, well, there's a difference. And so I was educated, and that's important. So as I was reading your book, and I was reading about your anxiety, so before we get into all that, tell us what was the motivation behind the title, Tears Behind the Smile?
So it's very much so obviously the stage name Tears, is very much to promote the music, and that's the front man of everything, whether that be the guy that you're seeing on television, being in films, I guess in a sense it's very much this strong sort of alter ego that I've got, that achieves and etc etc. Now the reason for the title of the book, Tears Behind the Smile, is very much to show obviously sort of maybe the pain, or the apprehension, the anxiety behind obviously the whole, oh no, I'm okay, I'm fine, this is a great day, but inside you might be dying literally to a very bad point of like I've been in situations that inside you're very apprehensive, you're not sure what to do, you feel sort of out of your body a little bit. So the title is very much sort of in the first instance sort of, oh okay, cool, what exactly what you just said, what's this all about, the tears behind the smile. So obviously I changed the TIERZ stage name to the Tears because obviously it sort of represents the the pain, the anguish, the sort of not understanding, the out of control sort of situation, and the smile is very much that sort of strong product of what you might see on the outside, which is quite relevant to, as you say, we were speaking earlier on the backstage, sort of guys mainly I guess hold these sort of feelings back, and it can be quite a sort of a non-masculine thing to discuss, and it's quite funny because I've had very, very in-depth conversations with the burliest of men, about I was having it just the other day with a very good friend of mine. Now I won't mention his name, but him and I were talking. I mean, he's a fantastic boxer. He got to a very high level of coaching. He's been around some of the greatest in England. And he was explaining to me, like, obviously after I expressed that I've written this book, and and he's downloaded it, which I'm very thankful for, and he's read through it. And it kind of represents that whole tears behind the smile. It doesn't matter who you are, it's that pain behind the front, So yeah, so that's where the title comes from.
I love that title. I love that title because it can say so much, because oftentimes as we're going through, it could be anybody, you can be smiling on the outside and crying on the inside,
literally
just tearing apart because we have to put on a happy face.
That's correct. Right, yeah.
And the world has said, you have to put on a happy face. I remember a friend of mine, I posted something one day, and so a while later she said, I didn't like that picture that you sent. And I said, what was wrong with it? You looked like you were destitute. And I was like, what? And I was like, what? And then she didn't mean any harm, but it just made me remember, or just made me think that the world expects for you to always show up, and you have to always look good doing it. You have to
Yeah.
always have this smile on, and that isn't how it should be. And a lot of people are suffering with mental health issues silently because basically of the stigma. I am happy to see that the world is starting to pay more attention to mental health. They're starting to put more resources out. And actually I'm seeing more ads on, seek therapy. And as I shared with you before, I am a proponent of therapy. Everybody that knows me knows that I am a proponent of therapy. So let's talk about the book. Now, have you always kept a diary, or did you just start doing this process?
No, so it started as things were sort of developing in a negative way, I guess. And I just kind of went back to the basics of, my nan said to me when I was going through school, and this is how the music started, just to write down how you feel, and then, sort of get rid of it in some way, maybe, and that's quite a common sort of thing to do, that's suggested by sort of counselors, maybe, or, psychiatrists. It's just one example of how to get out how you're feeling. So, but yeah, I've never really been one to write a diary as such. I've always put the words into music. And if you listen to the music, it's very much like there's one a fantastic song done very well, a fantastic song, blow my own trumpet. But no, there was one song, Home, and it was like, take my money, take my clothes, take back every single show, take back everything I own, I already made it home. So that was me expressing, like, take everything that I've got, literally, you can take everything because I'm already now here. Do you know what I'm saying? So and then obviously, there was another couple of songs that I've done with a very good friend of mine, Phil, on guitar, and I've always expressed it through there. So with regards to the diary, I'd never done that. Again, it was very much as things were sort of becoming more, in my face with it all, and the feelings, and feeling like someone that I wasn't, to be completely honest. I just started going back to the basics, writing down exactly how I was feeling. And like I say, it just sort of went from there. It was kind of a bittersweet sort of situation, where this problem has arisen. I'm trying to deal with it. Things didn't develop, but out of the bad, there was light, and obviously it came to the book. So yeah, I'd never really written a diary as such.
Well, you do a great job. I love how you you break it down and you talk about some of the symptoms of anxiety.
Yeah,
And sometimes a lot of people don't understand what they're going through. I remember when my trigger, because I have some medical childhood trauma, doctor's office and going to the doctor is my trigger. But I didn't understand that. I didn't know. All I know is when I would have to have a doctor's appointment, I would have all these weird feelings, and I would have some anxiety, and it felt like it would take me days to kind of recover after the appointment.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize what that was. And then I started therapy, and then, started navigating through, I feel really weird. And then learning how to handle that, and some tips and things of breathing as I'm getting ready to go. And so that's very important. But I like how you break down the symptoms of anxiety, and you're talking about some of the things that you went through.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
share some of that with us.
Yeah. So, I mean, geez. So with regards to it, I mean, I've been through like, so for example, there's one story that I can think of right now. Very much. So I was meant to be going to London to meet my manager at the time. We were recording in one of the best studios in London with one of the biggest artists that's literally popping right now, right? And the producer AO Beats, he was there, and everything's fantastic. Like, I mean, this is a dream. Do you know what I mean? But I woke up that morning. I'm a very confident person when it comes to music, to media. I can do the bit. But that morning was just one example of how anxiety can sort of start. So all of a sudden, you know, as you say, you know, it was that apprehension, like you were saying, when you go to the doctors, and it takes you days to get over. So I remember I went to the train station, and it's like this haze that was just this weird kind of bubble of a haze that's over me, and everything around me isn't quite there. I don't notice anything. I'm having to just focus on getting on the train first. Once I'm on the train, then the next bit. So, and this overwhelming feeling of I'm going to be ill, and that's to do with obviously fight or flight, which we can obviously discuss for those that aren't aware of what that means. So I had the overwhelming feeling of this. I was hot. I was then cold. I was sort of dizzy. I was, you know, all this sort of good stuff. And anyway, I got to the train station. I saw my manager, and by the grace of God, I can only say that he said that there was a problem at the studio with the electricity. And so he was like, look, go back to your place, well, back home, deal with a couple of other bits that we're, you know, sort of doing music. And then we'll meet again in London, you know, late that afternoon. So finally, I kind of felt like this weight had just been taken off my shoulders, which then kind of made it worse, because then I'm like, but I'm still then panicking about not panicking. It sounds absolutely stupid, right? But I'm thinking, well, I've got nothing to really panic about now, you know. And it was kind of weird again, because obviously it's very contradictory what I'm saying, because obviously I'm very confident on, you know, going to meet these people, these producers, being on the mic, writing, doing all, you know, I'm so fortunate to be around celebrities and have celebrity friends, and I've been on television, you know, all this stuff is so crazy to have. But anyway, I'm getting back on the train, and I remember I get on a bus. This was in Bromley, so this is in London, where I lived at the time. And I looked at the cabman, and all of a sudden I just become white, like I can't be around these crowds of people. I run off, and then I'm, you know, unwell, sort of in the court, take myself away, and I was getting sick. And then yeah, basically I get myself into a cab, and it was crazy because I just snapped out of it like that, because the cabmen in London, I'm not sure if you know, but they love a chat. They love a chat, right?
That's everywhere. That's here too.
Oh, is it there as well? Right. You can't shut them up. I mean that in the nicest sense. They're fantastic. And I think it's their way of sort of making you feel safe, you know. It's a black cab, and you know, they're professional drivers, you know, fantastic. And all of a sudden I just felt fantastically well. I felt safe, you know, and you know, so you've gone from one extreme of, in my sense, you know, very fortunate to be living the dream around these fantastic artists and people, you know, pioneers of the music industry right now, you know. So having that weird overwhelming apprehension of whatever it might have been, I mean, it could have been just getting on the train, or so, you know, I mean, my main fear in life is, it sounds silly, but it's being sick. That's my main fear. That's always one trigger, which is kind of a horrible circle, because once you start getting anxious, you know, obviously fight or flight kicks in, blah blah blah. So being able to explain the different feelings in the book, this is, you know, actually what happens to people, with or without them sort of maybe realizing. So I go into sort of, I touch on it in a little bit more depth, I guess, just to explain the different things that I've personally experienced, and obviously speaking to people that also suffer, what they sort of go through as well, and it's weird how it always aligns, you know, with the same thing. But also, you know, with the history, and the very brief understanding of anxiety, you know, because it's only been realistically sort of maybe 150 years ish that it's actually sort of had or been given an actual sort of name, and there is something sort of, you know, untoward going on neurologically, for example, for whatever reason it might be. So it's very misunderstood at the moment. There's, you know, and I kind of feel that the medication and stuff that is available from GPs and all this sort of stuff is very much trial, because we're not 500 years down, you know, down the line.
Still practicing what works.
Literally, you know, I think, and it is very much trial and error, isn't it? So
and I think too, and I don't know if it's different because you're in the UK, right?
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm in the US. And so I know medically things are different, can be
yeah,
different. But I know when I was looking at your list, or your breakdown of what people go through dealing with anxiety, it's universal.
yeah,
It's universal. So you talk about excessive worry,
yeah,
and then sleep problems. I have a lot of sleep problems. I don't sleep. I always say that I don't sleep. I cat nap. My
yeah,
daughter was up. I was up at 4. I was awake at 4 o'clock. I didn't actually get out of bed until about 5, but I was awake at 4 o'clock, and my daughter was sending me these videos. And so when I talked to her earlier, I said, "Do you sleep?" And she said, "I do." She said, "I just gotten up," and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Everybody's asleep. The house was quiet." And so let me just kind of scroll quickly because I don't really get a chance to do that. And she said, "But the fact that you were responding to me at 4 o'clock in the morning, do you sleep?" And I said, "No, I don't sleep. I cat nap."
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so when you talk about sleep problems, I can relate. And then you talk about irrational fears, but then you talk about muscle tension. And so that could be a strain of anything. So a lot of times people don't think about something as simple as their muscles being tense, that it's connected to anxiety and depression. A lot of
mhm,
times people don't know that. But talk about the irrational fears, because as you were telling the story about having an anxiety attack in London, and then you're in the cab and then you feel safe. It seems like always removing yourself from the situation, and
yeah,
that's sometimes it's not as easy to do. But I like that you touched on irrational fears. We
yeah,
all
yeah,
have
yeah.
fears, but talk about when those fears get to be irrational.
Yeah, so for example, it's to do with like kind of overthinking it. In my sense, it's very much like I overthink everything.
Hmm.
It's very much, for example, um, my best mate. It sounds so stupid because he's going to watch this. He'll be like, "What are you talking about?" Right? But so him and I, we speak like probably too much, through the day
Hmm.
sort of thing. But anyway, he's my best mate, and we've known each other since a very young age. Been through, a lot together, supported each other, helped, all this good stuff. Now, obviously, he's got a family, a fantastic family. He's getting married as well, to a lovely lady, and obviously, I've got a family of my own. We've each got, worries of our own also.
Hmm.
If I don't speak to him for like, maybe 2 days, I start overthinking like, what have I done? Have I annoyed him? Or
Did I
so
offend him? Did I say something to offend him?
like, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Or it goes even deeper. I'm like, oh, like, have I said something? And then like I've called him in my back pocket on my phone by accident, and then he's heard something that he thinks I'm saying something about him, and then so the irrational thinking, and
Mhm.
and it's not even just him. I mean, it's very much like it's generally like most people. I guess I kind of feel like this. So the irrational thinking sort of, and even like little things. I mean, maybe I should have done a little bit extra earlier, like when I
Mhm.
was like helping get shopping or something. It's very much like it's stupid thinking, if I'm honest. But it can have a knock on effect of all of a sudden, and as you
Mhm.
say, like obviously depression, and
Mhm.
I go through these motions as well. To be completely honest, it kind of starts as that,
Mhm.
and it has this ripple effect
Mhm.
of, sort of starts off as worry, and it's like, oh, don't worry about it, but then it's still there in the back of your head, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden it becomes this bigger sort
Mhm.
of thing. You're like, I've got to get hold of this person, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, blah blah, and then that's when the anxiety then starts kicking in.
Mhm. Mhm.
You start doubting yourself. Well, for me, I started doubting myself. You're like, what are you doing, Dan? Like, all of a sudden,
Mhm.
and then I'm posting like Team Tears smiling to the top on Facebook, but and then I'm thinking, oh, this guy's going to get, peed off with me because obviously I've already peed him off. And it's literally like that. And it is
Yeah.
irrational thinking, but,
Mhm.
it's one of them ones where I think it comes from, obviously, me personally, in myself, with my own view, with the view of myself,
Mhm.
it is kind of low. If I'm, well, I just said it now,
Mhm.
but you know, is kind of very low. So you kind of want to please other people in a sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Whether that be to be there or you should have done more, you know. Yeah, and you can kind of feel guilty, maybe. Like I say, I mean, if I haven't spoken to him for a day, I'm like, oh, well, why? Like, have I been,
Mm-hmm.
you know, have I annoyed you,
Mm-hmm.
or you annoyed with me? Like, what have I? Do you know what I mean? So that's that self
Yeah.
doubt and irrational thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And it can happen to a lot of people, or it has
Yeah.
happened, and it still does, obviously, for no reason whatsoever, you know. And it's kind of hard to deal with, like, a lot of the time, because you've got a lot of other stuff going on, and you're
Yes,
like, I don't need this.
I call those communication voices. You have a lot going on, and it's overthinking. You said that earlier. It's overthinking. And it's like, okay, why am I overthinking? I have a friend that'll say, Laquita, why are you being emotional?
Mm.
And I was like, I'm not. And I guess sometimes it's perceived differently for men as it is for women. But
Yeah, yeah,
mental health and anxiety and depression, it's all universal.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
all
yeah,
universal. And so knowing what it is, and how you would go about identifying, what it is. That's the thing. How do you identify that this is what's happening? You talk about chronic indigestion,
yeah,
stage fright, self-consciousness. How does that affect you? You're in the music industry, so
yeah,
tell us about that.
yeah. So one thing with anxiety, I mean, it can give you a dodgy belly, basically, and it's to do with, again, the fight or flight. Um, I mean, when I'm performing music, it's like a superpower for me. Or if I'm on television, you know, I was on TV like over Christmas, like over a 4 week period. Once I'm on that screen, or I'm behind that mic, or I record, I've learned to become Tears,
Hmm.
and it's kind of that alter ego that I sort
Hmm.
of hide behind a lot of the time.
Hmm.
But sometimes before that, you know, it can be very much, you know, one minute you feel really, really hungry,
Hmm.
then the next, you know, your belly can, you know, be turmoil. And with fight or flight, I mean, the crazy thing is, it's not actually our fault. This is from like thousands of years ago, from cavemen that obviously had to, you know, empty themselves to run faster away from the
Hmm.
enemy. It's
Hmm.
literally that simple. Or you
Hmm.
stand and fight, which is fight or
Hmm.
flight.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I kind of deal with it in a manner of, you know, I mean, I just become Tears. It sounds
Hmm.
so weird, but I just become this other person.
Well, it doesn't.
Um,
It doesn't sound weird because that's your it's the alter ego, and that's the confidence. That's where the
yeah,
confidence is.
yeah,
So how do you when you're not Tears, when you're not on stage performing, and I know you've poured everything out in this book, and you've done a great job in doing that. But how do
thank you.
you when you're feeling the anxiety, and when you're feeling that, and you're not performing, you're not on the stage, how do you manage? Do you do what techniques do you do? Do you do breathing techniques? Is there medication that you take? And how does that affect your family life?
Yeah, so in the very beginning, I was on medication. I was given medication.
Hmm.
I was taking sertraline and metazapine,
Hmm.
and I think there was a couple of others that I was given as well, along with, you know, other sort of options.
Hmm.
But I kind of felt that they didn't work for me.
Hmm.
I kind of just felt like I was kind of walking around in this daze.
Hmm.
And don't get me wrong, in the beginning it was fantastic. I was like, wow, you know,
Feel good.
I felt great.
Hmm.
Um, but after a while, I kind of just felt like I don't feel me. Like this is someone else that isn't me. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And
Did I lose you?
oh, I had a phone call coming through there.
Okay. Okay.
Um, yeah, so I just didn't feel myself. So I came off them. I went cold turkey, to be completely honest. And it's kind of funny because I kind of grew into this person. Like, I go to the gym quite a lot now,
Hmm.
which is great. makes me feel
Mhm.
fantastic.
Mhm.
I box. I've got another fight coming up as well, actually. So I'm training for that. So what I've kind of done is I've kind of had to face it, sort of face on. I've had to just run at it a little bit because there was nothing that was really working for me as such.
Mhm.
So for me, I know now for a fact that if I want to try and get a good night's sleep, I have to go to the gym for a couple of hours,
Mhm.
really burn myself
Mhm.
out, and then come back and I'll probably have a 2 or 3 beers, and then that'll be me. I'm able to sleep.
Mhm.
Um, and also to focus on something as well. So when I am going for a moment, I mean, literally today, it was happening. I kind of take myself to a point. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, what's the worst that's going to happen? I've already been sick before in
Mhm.
public. I've
Mhm.
already, I've been ill. Um, so what's the worst that's going to happen? Oh, okay, my chest starts tightening up. I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack. I've done that before. There's been ambulances literally come to my door or into my house, and the embarrassment of having my kids there to sit. They were obviously apprehensive and scared, but that
Mhm.
embarrassment. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, now, well, I've done this. So what are you going to do now?
Say what
So what
now?
I do, I kind of then, instead of avoiding like the next hour of my sort of diary and
Mhm.
running away from it, like scared and basically, I'm not ashamed to say it, but run back home to my safe space and
Mhm.
have a bath and relax and watch some stupid YouTube videos. I just say, well, screw it. I'm going to move forwards. I am going to do this now. I am going to move forwards to my next hour's thing. If I'm still feeling like this, it might even get worse, but I can guarantee tomorrow, once I'm literally, back down and everything's cool, I can say to
Mhm.
myself, heart to heart, I did that.
Yes.
I did that. And, that's not to be a big man or anything, but I can walk with my head held high and say I did that. So when there's people that I'm speaking to that go through similar situations, and they're explaining this, and they might feel vulnerable saying it or embarrassed, for example, when I say to them, look, I know what you're. I never say I know exactly what you're going through because everyone's obviously different. Um, but at least if I can sort of give them a little bit of advice on my journey as well, and be honest in it as well. Like I've done that, I've been there, I know exactly in myself how I'm handling this. This could probably work for you as well. And I'll be going through this for the rest of my life. I mean,
Mhm. Mhm.
it is what it is. But
Mhm.
I just feel with the medication and stuff like that, it wasn't personally working. The things that work for me is very much looking at progression, moving forwards, having targets, um, and yeah, I mean, trying to be a man for my kids. I've got 2 young boys, so obviously I want them to be.
I
Oh,
love how
sorry, you
transparent you are. I
sound's gone. Wait, one sec.
okay.
Oh, I can't hear you.
Oh, I can hear you fine. It may have knocked your sound off.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
Are we there?
Oh, there's no sound.
Still can't hear me? You may have to go out and come back in because I can hear you just fine. While we're working on getting Dan's sound back, you may have to go out and come back in. Okay, you can't hear me. All right. This is technology. I'm going to send Dan send him a message. So you may have to go back out and come back in. Let's see. Still can't hear me?
Oh, that's better. You're back.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I'm not sure what happened.
So uh, it happens. Technology is something else. But I want to share an excerpt from your book while we're here. We have a couple more minutes. So the tears behind the smile: sick, angry, apprehensive, on edge, worried, shaken, numb, fast-paced, rushed, unsure, sweating, tired, dizzy, tearful, reserved, nervous, anxious, short of breath. These are a few of the many feelings that all have that all have the same effect on us, but feel differently every day of the week.
Mm.
Anxiety and panic attacks are a thing that affect a lot of people in the UK. About 1 in 10 in 20 people have an anxiety disorder at any one time. It's the most uncontrollably scary feeling that can affect any one of the strongest people in the world. It can come out of nowhere at any time, any place, and with anyone. For people that I've spoken to that suffer from panic attacks, have mostly agreed that they are afraid of having one in a busy place due to what other people may think of them. They like myself are afraid of the sick feeling you get as you start to sweat, becoming a reality and vomiting in front of people that you don't know. It's the thought of passing out in the middle of the crowd and just being trampled on by the crowds of people passing by you at any time. Anxiety and panic attacks for me personally, I think mean two different things. The anxiety is a feeling of being on edge. It's the uncontrollable early thoughts of worry, which can start early in the morning. It's the switch in your head that just won't turn off. A constant reminder that you feel different from the rest of the world because of the uncontrollable thoughts of panic you have that you know and wait for to hit you day in and day out. Panic attacks are the everlasting effect that hit you like a steam train, nowhere with no warning. You could be out with friends having an evening of your favorite sports match, a pub or dinner date with your friend. You could be walking your dog in the same field you used to play football in since young, feeling safe, and then bang.
Mhm.
Some people and professionals in the field of anxiety and panic attacks describe the feeling of an attack as the black dog. I think it comes from the idea of a dog that follows you around and it's black due to the dark feeling you have inside you, making you feel down and upset about yourself. To people that are not affected by the attacks, find it hard to understand. They say it's all in your head. With it, which is true in a nice way. Just calm down. What are you panicking for? Your boss may be asking, why are you always phoning in sick? Why are you always late? Work colleagues calling you sick. Nope, because you find it hard to get up in the morning. With that ever growing feeling of being sick, or the thought of the journey home becomes the longest journey back in the world because you think you may be sick alone and stuck in a place that you feel on edge and anxious. My name is Daniel Andrews, and what I have just briefly described are feelings and thoughts of my own. They are a way for me, I guess, to express my own thoughts and feelings in a way to maybe come to some peace with myself about this problem, or just as a release of the stress I have every day with it. I'm not completely sure why I have chosen to write this, but I know the main reason for it is to hopefully have at least one person that suffers the same as me and many others to read this and feel some sort of comfort and reassurance in the fact that they are not alone. I'm not a doctor or professional person. I am just one guy trying to help another and hope that this happens. Hope that this hopefully happens. It's you. Hopefully it's you.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's pretty much it. Do you know
Yeah.
what? You reading that to me, I'm like, wow, that's deep. Because I mean, so obviously with sorry to interrupt, but just on train
No,
of
you're
thought.
fine. You're fine.
But with obviously releasing the book, it was quite a strange situation. A couple of weeks ago, actually, I met a lovely couple. Anyway, we got talking, and it's always the same thing. So, what do you do then, Dan? I was like, oh. And I always joke with like my mate about this. It's like I don't quite know what I do because, like, obviously I do music, I do this, I do that, blah 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 blah. But it turned out that his wife, so we got into the book, and he's like, "Oh, that's interesting. What's your book about?" And then that opens a whole can of worms. Obviously, I said, "Oh, it's about anxiety and my own experiences and etc." He said, "Oh, my wife suffers with anxiety as well." And anyway, she downloaded the book, and then I think it was the next day she got in contact with me, and we were on the phone for like maybe 3.5 hours talking about anxiety and all.
Mhm.
And she was saying to me about, as you are, passages in the book that I've written. Now, I I can't read. I've tried many times to read back through my book, obviously with regards to you know kind words from professionals like yourself in the
Mhm.
book world with direction and things that might elevate and help the book grow. But I can't for the life of me read through because it always brings back those memories, and I'm like, oh, that was terrible. But hearing you read it back to me, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
this sounds interesting. I'm like, oh god, it's me. Oh no. But yeah, I mean, with that, very sort of, I guess, brief introduction to the book, it is very much for me. When I was writing it, and again, why did I write this? I mean, it is to help people, and
Mhm.
if it's just one person, then that's great. I
Yeah.
can lay on my bed one day and before I go say I'm proud of that book.
Mhm.
If it helps one person in a very positive way. But yeah,
Well,
I mean, it very much is as it literally is as it says on the tin or written in the book, sort of thing. Um,
Well,
very on it.
it is really really good, and again, I applaud you for being transparent and for sharing what's going on. A lot of times people don't. We keep those stories hidden inside of us, and somebody's waiting. Somebody's always waiting on the other end of our stories so they can get
Yeah.
healing from their story. And so I
Mm.
appreciate you for being so transparent. What how can people purchase your book?
So it's available on Amazon. You can just literally just type in "Tears Behind the Smile" by Tears. It was re-released 4 days ago now, and I've actually had the first author's
Awesome.
copy come through. So
Awesome.
yeah, this is what it looks like, and then there's me on the back.
Okay.
But yeah, you can get it from Amazon, and like I say, we're looking to. It's been written into script
Mhm.
with regards to for film and all this all good stuff. But that's in the future.
Awesome.
Um, so yeah, jump onto Amazon and please leave a review as well because
Yes.
I really want to get it into obviously the charts and all this all good stuff.
Yes.
Just to outreach to more people because obviously there's territories that or sorry, other countries
Mhm.
that may or may not be able to download for
Yes.
political or whatever else,
Right, right, right. A lot of that
etc.
going on. And
But
how
but
can
yeah.
people contact you? How can they get in touch with you?
So yeah, so I'm on Instagram, tears underscore official underscore STTP. And then through my Facebook, Daniel Andrews. And
Okay.
yeah, and it's always great to speak to people as well. I mean, I'm very fortunate through the music and obviously the filming and
Mhm.
television and all this all good stuff
Mhm.
to have people reach out to me. And and I love connecting. That's for me in the entertainment world, and to what we do.
Mhm.
um, uh, One of my good friends, he said to me the other day, "Your net worth is your network,"
Yeah.
and I'm a great believer in that. I've got some very good, influential people around me,
Mhm.
that's helped give me the confidence to obviously push the book, I guess.
Mhm.
And I guess without them, I wouldn't be in the situation of being on
Mhm.
Channel 4 and writing
Mhm.
getting the film written and being on television and obviously with yourself.
That's
Um,
beautiful.
but yeah, so but yeah, if anyone does download it, then thank you, and I'll be more than happy to have a conversation and
Awesome.
talk more
So
about
how
it.
can I hear some of your music?
So my
Are you
music is
are
very
you
much on YouTube. Yeah, you can go onto YouTube. So I was. It's funny. My son the other day. He loves music. Bless him. My youngest one, and yeah, he was saying to me about a track that I wrote. Anyway, it had all been taken off. I was signed to a record label,
Mhm.
and I got. Oh, that's another story. But yes, but a lot of the music got taken down, and I didn't realise that there is still music on there, so you can actually just say, "Oh, Tears, Luigi's Mansion," or "Tears, You Can
Mhm.
Hear You Home," and "Beauty in You," and all this. And yeah, I was artist of the track of the week. I think it was on the BBC introducing. So yeah, you can just literally. It sounds arrogant, but you can Google me.
Okay, hey, I say
Google
that too.
me.
You can Google me. I love that. Just
You
Google
can
me.
Google me. You can
So
Google
it's
me.
under so your music is under Tears.
Tierz. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so
Okay.
there are tracks up there.
Thanks for that.
And yeah, I'm working. There's a couple of projects, in motion. But it's funny. Like, not going to get into the conversation of music, obviously, but I kind of find the music and the book world kind of very similar in the sense of when you reach out to people, you know, there might be one out of 100 that will actually help you do what it is that you're trying to do, you know, and make things happen. But yeah, it's a very up and down kind of industry, and one that I actually sort of pulled myself away from a little bit because of my mental health, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, because you're being told one thing's going to happen, and then it's all going forwards, and then all of a sudden it doesn't. You know. But yeah, I mean, from what's out on the internet at the moment, you can just type in Tierz and it'll come up. And then yeah, there, like I said, there's more to come from the music wise of things. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been an amazing interview. I am so very proud of you. And it's been a pleasure meeting you. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep pushing your book. Keep talking about men's health. Keep talking about anxiety and emotional wellness. It is very, very important. Again, I appreciate you for being so transparent and sharing your story, because a lot of women share more than men, but a lot of times they won't. So it is okay. It's only healing from there. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah.
My pleasure. So listen, guys, this has been an amazing interview. It has been another episode of My Heart on Pages. Again, I am Laquita Parks, Dr. Laquita Parks. And listen, 100% of everybody living and dead has a story. The only stories that we cannot heal from are the ones we don't tell. So share your story, tell your story. If you have a story and you don't know how to get started, reach out to us. We can help you get started. If you've already started writing your story and you're stuck, reach out to us. We can help you get unstuck. And if you've already written your story and you want to get that story published, reach out to us. We can help you with that as well. All right. So listen, it has been a plump, pleasing pleasure. Better than a triple-decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And until next time, have an amazing day. If you can be good, be good at something.
Laquita Parks, CEO and founder of PayPro-V Publishing. She's passionate about helping individuals take their story from a thought to a realization. PayPro-V stands for pain, progress, victory. The subject Laquita is all too familiar with. A survivor of childhood medical trauma, she experienced a series of events that have forced her to battle with the painful effects that will last throughout her lifetime. Despite these challenges, Laquita is an overcomer, and she believes you are an overcomer too. As publisher and contributing author, she told her inspirational story in the international and domestic best-selling anthology, She Said Yes to Herself, Unapologetically Empower Her Guide. She uses her story to motivate, encourage, and inspire others to share their stories. She believes there is someone waiting on the other end of your story to get healing from their story. Free yourself from the pain and shame of a tucked away story. Do you want to tell your own powerful narrative, but you aren't sure where to start? Your journey towards healing begins now.